weak, wrecked, useless, senile, helpless, incapable. These are all words that were used as synonyms in the Merriam-Webster thesaurus when the word disabled was entered. That was in the year 1982. Strong, fit, wholesome, well, hearty, whole, capable. These are all words that were listed as antonyms or opposites of the word disabled in the same thesaurus, but much more recently in 2009. I want you to think about a few challenges that you face here at UNCW as a student. For most of us, the challenges are few and far between. Learning the campus environment, managing a full course load with a tough major. Now I want to tell you about some of the challenges that I've witnessed from disabled students on this same campus. I watched someone come into a classroom in a wheelchair, and that person was forced to push desks to the side because they were unable to fit between the rows. There was a table that would have been more accessible for them, but it was at the very front wall of the classroom and was not set up. As a student with a disability, you must prove your disability through the Office of Disability Resources, but you must also contact your professor before every single test in every single class to request accommodations such as extra testing time or an alternative location. Suddenly, the challenges I faced seemed much smaller. Getting out of bed to attend my 8 a.m. class was not even relatable to having to find my own note taker or ensure that I allow myself enough time to complete assignments. With technology on the rise, what if you're in an online class? I find my most frequent complaints to be that I can't find the book in a PDF or updated copy in the library. Well, imagine if a video that you wanted to use or watch wasn't available in closed captioning and therefore wasn't accessible to you. Or if a website or document wasn't formatted correctly, so you spend the entire evening trying to decipher what the screen reader is telling you. There are many resources to make technology much more accessible to those with disabilities. We as future higher education professionals need to consider making resources available as something common and typical, not wait until someone asks us. Next, I want to talk about being a minority here on UNCW's campus. Not a minority in terms of skin color, but a student with a disability. Not only are these students away from their parents for the first time, but they're also on a college campus, and they too are trying to navigate the waters of becoming that ideal college student they always hear about. These students, like most others, must find their place within a student organization, must make friends within their residence halls, and begin to leave an impression on this campus just like every other student hopes to. I often referred to my friend Jamie as so brave as she went through sorority recruitment. That sometimes is a task for anyone. I would later come to regret these comments. So what's the first thing you think about when you see this picture? Probably something along the lines of, that little girl should be an inspiration to all kids. Through this process, I learned a term called inspiration porn, which means it successfully objectifies one group of people for the benefit of another. These images motivate us without disabilities to remember that whatever I'm facing, it could be worse. It also gives us a skewed image of what a person with disability. We are often very impressed that they are doing everyday things such as going out to dinner, having a drink at the bar, going grocery shopping, or attending an athletic event. What we need to remember is that a majority of these people were born with their disabilities, and they've been learning how to use their body to the best of their ability for every single day. These people shouldn't be referred to as inspirational or brave because they are existing normally in society. Just like when I was so impressed by Jamie. This quickly made me realize she's not brave or inspirational. She's trying to do what every other college student is doing, find their place. We need to start being more conscious of the language we're using to describe those with disabilities. But as we progress into the field of higher education, we also need to think about how to ensure that all students feel included on our respective campuses. It's very simple to do and can be done with just a few words. This is a draft of information that students will receive regarding UNC Welcome Week and the annual event Beach Blast. I bolded the statements that I want you to pay extra attention to, but in reality, if I hadn't bolded it, none of those, including those with disabilities, you would have read right past it. But to those with disabilities, those sentences make all the difference. There are so many simple things we can do to increase accessibility and inclusion for people with disabilities. We need to think about not only making things accessible for the law, but making them useful. An accessibility ramp into a building means nothing if once you're inside, all the doors are closed and there are no buttons to activate them. A campus-wide event means nothing if it's held in the middle of a field away from any accessible sidewalks. Learning about ableism is something that needs to start early on and should be discussed the same way that racism and sexism are. There's no reason that so many people should be unfamiliar with a word that carries such a deep impact. I want you to think back to the words that I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation and how such harmful words are and they're still being used. We frequently use the words normal, but is there really such thing? Typical and common, yes, but is anyone really normal? All of these things start with you. I challenge you to think from the perspective of the student with a disability for just one day, and I promise you it will change your entire outlook for the way you think about things. I also challenge you to question what you already know or don't know about disabilities, because that's what teaches us to act exceptionally in these situations. We need to remember that we hold a lot of power as able-bodied individuals, a similar power that we hold just for being white or just for being a male. We need to remember that we should use this power well and use it to encourage others. In closing, I would like to leave you with the definition of the social model of disability, which states that we as a society negatively affect people with disabilities more than their own diagnosis. Amy Mullins, a Paralympic athlete, once said, "The only real challenge I've ever had to face is people associating me with such negative words, such as the ones I listed earlier." Thank you.